Review code provided by Happy Juice Games. I'm Jared.
I'm Marcus.
Level with us. Hello and welcome to Level With Us, the show where we have a cozy video game discussion every week. And this week we are talking about Lost in Play, a delightful little point-and-click style adventure developed by Happy Juice Games and published by Joystick Ventures. And Marcus, you and I are both fans of adventuring games because we grew up on games just like this, made by Humongous Entertainment, like Pajama Sam and Putt Putt and Spy Fox.
I feel like those might count as adventure games light, because when most people think adventure games, they think of like the 90s one.
Oh, they think of the really complicated ones like Day of the Tentacle
right.
and Monkey Island. But the ones we grew up with were the kid ones.
Sure.
And the reason I brought those specifically up is because I feel like this is more in the style of those, in that it's meant to be kind of a whimsical, childlike adventure for all ages. And also it's animated with very nicely designed characters. So we were very lucky to get a review code for this game. So let's talk about it. Marcus, you beat it.
I did.
I am partway through the game.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's about I'd say it's like a 4-hour experience, 4 to 5 hours.
Okay.
So it's, you could play it in an evening. And I guess should I give a little recap on what the story is, what the premise is?
Sure.
It's a brother and sister who are basically playing pretend and going through an adventure of their own imaginations. And there's no dialogue, so everything is conveyed through graphics and pantomiming and stuff like that, which is, I think it does very well.
Yeah, which is a really cool limitation, that they can teach you the mechanics and various puzzles just through visuals. And I compared it to old point-and-click adventures. The thing is, there's no pixel hunting in this game. You actually control the character using the gamepad. And when we got the review code, I asked for it on Steam instead of the Switch, because I figured, I've dealt with cursors before on the Switch. I'm not a big fan of it. Deponia was a little clunky, when we reviewed that on this show. But it turns out this game was designed with, a controller in mind, which is really cool. So it's a pretty simple inventory system where you can pull up whatever you have in your bag at any time and apply it to anything that you can physically walk to. And so the puzzles of the game are usually, how do I get to the next screen? Or how do I solve this problem that's happening on this screen, etc. But unlike classic point-and-click adventures, there's no backtracking in this game. In fact, there's no interconnected world as much as there is chapters. So each chapter will have its own set of dedicated screens. And in some ways, I really like that, because it keeps the puzzles from being too obtuse, That's the problem with a lot of point-and-click adventures, is you can't remember or don't know what exactly the game wants you to do with this new item you got. But in this one, your options are usually limited to a very specific space.
Yeah, I played through this with my roommate, and we were talking about how in point-and-click games, one of the main ways to scale difficulty, make it more or less difficult, is just by amount of items you can have at one time, or amount of locations you can be at one time, because it increases exponentially the amount of things you could possibly do, depending on the amount of things you can interact with and have. So I really appreciated that these were digestible chunks that, as far as the difficulty goes, I would say it's fairly easy. It's pretty approachable, which I love. There were occasionally times where we had to think and figure stuff out, which, was good enough for it to be a pretty satisfying experience.
This game is really pretty. It has some lovely little character designs and interactions. There's a lot of frogs.
Which, side note about frogs, we've been talking about the animation style. It actually says on its Steam page that it's an interactive cartoon, basically, and it says that it's inspired by the likes of Gravity Falls, Hilda, and Over the Garden Wall.
Specifically those.
Yes, it listed those three specifically, which was very cool because I picked up on the Gravity Falls and Hilda vibes, and all three of those cartoons are ones that I think both of us really appreciate. think are really cool. So, sorry, that's just a side note. I thought it was interesting to see that those references were ones that I could absolutely see influencing the design of the game.
And I love all three of those shows, so that makes it especially delightful to jump into this and see something inspired by some other art that I really like. You know, part of me wishes we did have kind of an interconnected world to just explore because of how great the presentation is. But I think this, chapter format works really well in the game's favor. Like I said, because it makes things less obtuse, but also each segment has a really cool puzzle. And I guess there's multiple puzzles. I felt like there's one specific, dedicated, there's the point and click puzzles, but then there's one Layton style puzzle, right?
So yeah, there are point and click style gameplay, and then each area has at least one puzzle. I'm not sure if it always is like a one-to-one thing, but I actually was pretty impressed by the puzzles. They were probably the toughest part of the game.
Yeah, even in the first one or two levels, I was like, oh, I can't turn my brain off. These are actually challenging.
Right. So I was impressed also by kind of their originality. As a puzzle appreciator, aficionado.
You're a puzzle master. You can just come out and say it.
Oh, thank you. There are certain puzzle tropes and types of puzzles that you see a lot, and I was impressed at how many of these felt like genuinely original, or at least a twist on something. And none of them were so obtuse that it didn't make sense, but none of them were so simple that, like you said, you can shut off your brain.
I said I'm only partway through the game. Part of the reason is I am stuck on a puzzle and I'm too stubborn to click the hint, because there is a hint system. So luckily, even for hard puzzles, your kids can still get through this game, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of good things to say about this game. And speaking of good things, let's get into star pieces.
Yahoo!
This is where we highlight something we loved about the game, or a cool little detail we noticed. For me, I want to spotlight the fictional language that the characters speak in this game. It's so fun to hear them do this little babble. I want to try and replicate it. Maybe I'll just play a clip, but it's kind of I don't know. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
That was fantastic.
No, it's not.
That was really good. No. You're saying it doesn't work because you're going to cut this out, but you cannot. I thought that was a great take.
It's not just, they have a bunch of clips of a fictional language that they can play at any given moment. There might be a few like that, but I noticed they were very context sensitive. There was even times where the character would say something in their language and then use onomatopoeia that applied to the situation, like swoosh swoosh or boom at the end of what they're saying and as they gesture. And I was just really impressed. That meant they recorded these lines with specific situations in mind in the story, and that makes it feel really believable. It works really well.
Right, it's intended to be that way.
Exactly.
A quick, just a itty-bitty mini fake fan question for you. Do you know where this studio, Happy Juice Games, is based out of?
It's in Europe, isn't it?
No.
It's not. Okay, I don't know then.
It's possible that has connection, like the creators have connections to Europe. I really know nothing about the studio. I just know that it's based out of Israel.
Israel?
Yeah.
Very cool, very cool.
It's pretty fun that the game is something that's easy to localize. In fact, I even went to on the first screen where you can change languages.
Yes.
I was just fascinated by how many there was. It was like English, Portuguese, Spanish, Chinese, simplified, traditional Chinese. It had so many languages because there's not too much to localize.
They just apply to the menus, I think.
Yeah, really just menus.
Just the UI, which is, super cool. Do you have a star piece as well?
I do. Yeah, there are several running gags throughout the thing. You talked about how it's not necessarily an interconnected world in terms of actually being able to traverse it, but it is connected in that there are certain characters or bits that keep popping up. One of them is at the beginning of the game, a dog chases a cat, and that dog and cat show up everywhere, including underwater, floating after each other in balloons, rock statues in the background of this ancient temple. So it doesn't make sense, but I really thought that those callbacks made it kind of gave it a cool and sometimes even mysterious vibe. a minor spoiler, but near the end, it kind of turns Fever Dream-esque. Like, it takes everything from the beginning and, like, warps it and twists it. It's kind of a remix of everything you've seen before.
Very nice. But for every star piece, there is also a quick jab.
And jab, jab.
And this is where we talk about something that we didn't like so much. The thing is, I didn't come prepared with one. There was nothing in my short playthrough that really bugged me. I think it's great. I might have like misinput the inventory button a few times or something, but not even that is enough for me to write something down in my notes. So I will take a pass this week.
Awesome. I've done it before. That's great. Great. Save yourself the sadness of critiquing a game and just stay with happy vibes.
I'm going to save that for Sonic games.
Awesome. Love it. Well, my main quick jab is there's a good dose of fart jokes in this game, and I'm not wild about it. Like, I was surprised at how often I was kind of like, ew. There were times where I made that sound out loud. I was like, like, just a little crude humor, you know? Yeah, I guess it really depends on how you measure these things, and I know it's definitely to taste, but my taste is not a fan. And I think that for some people, they would kind of shrug and be like, yeah, it's like for kids. Like, that's what's entertaining for little kids. But you and I are more puritanical, if it isn't clear by this point, and we are not a fan of doo-doo humor.
You don't have to be puritanical to dislike fart jokes.
That's true. That's true.
Likewise, I know adults who do enjoy fart jokes. It's not really for me, though.
I also know them, too. Yeah.
But I agree, yes.
It was legitimately funny and silly in a lot of ways. Just those kind of jokes don't really do anything for me. I feel like by saying that, though, I have planted a seed, so you'll have to let me know if they overtly stick out in the rest of the game if you continue to play through it.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep that in mind as I proceed through. I fully intend to play the entire game.
Awesome.
I just didn't get to in time for this episode.
Yeah, it's a short one. I absolutely would recommend it.
Like all games we talk about on the show, we will include a link to the eShop page or Steam page in the description of this podcast. So, yeah, look it up. And that brings us to Who's the Fake Fan?
Fake fan.
This is the quiz portion of our podcast, where Marcus and I try and stump each other with nerdy trivia questions. And I've got a pretty simple one. We've already been talking about Gravity Falls, Hilda, and Over the Garden Wall because the Steam page specifically lists those. And also, in this game, there are lots of quirky little creatures and fantastical beasts and beings. And I wanted to list a few mythical creatures and beasts and beings that come from those three shows. And you have to tell me which show each one is from.
Okay.
Without further ado, let's begin with a simple one. Rock trolls.
Rock trolls are from Hilda.
Correct.
And also, I guess, Frozen?
True, but that is, I don't think that was...
Irrelevant.
It might have inspired this game. I don't know. Gremloblin.
Gremloblin is from Gravity Falls.
And you can tell because of the funny wordplay. All right. The North Wind.
Oh, that's a tricky one. Over the Garden Wall, but there's also storm clouds in Hilda.
That's true. So, which one?
The first one I mentioned, Over the Garden Wall.
Okay, correct. A griffin.
A griffin. Just a griffin.
Just a griffin.
Okay. If there's a griffin in Gravity Falls, it would have to be like a one-off joke. If it was in Over the Garden Wall, I think I would remember it. So, I can't remember any Gravity Falls jokes with Griffin, so I'll say Hilda.
I'm afraid it's from Gravity Falls. But you're right, it doesn't appear for very long, so...
Is it a joke?
Yeah. It's in the Dungeons and More Dungeons. It's the one with the hot elf.
Okay, I accept that.
Flying whale.
Flying whale?
Flying whale.
Hilda?
I'm afraid that's incorrect. The flying whale is also from Gravity Falls.
Oh, interesting. Where does it pop up?
It pops up during Weirdmageddon.
I guess anything goes in Weirdmageddon. Okay.
Next, Fisher Fish.
Fisher Fish. You know, that would be Over the Garden Wall.
Yeah.
Fish that's fishing.
It's not really a race, it's just the Fisher
Yeah.
Fish. is how it's credited.
Sure.
So, okay, and then last one, Dragon. Not dragon, Dragon.
DRAW? Or
No, Draugen.
okay, that's got to be Hilda because it's a weird, vaguely Nordic spelling.
Correct.
Yay!
That is from Hilda. The Dragon are kind of like zombies.
Actually, yeah, that's the name for Norse zombies. Is the Draugr is what they're called in North.
Yeah, Draugr is what you call them. I only know that from playing God of War, but yeah.
Gotcha.
But good job. Yeah, you got the vast majority of them. We're going to give it to you. Well done. You're not a fake fan of those
Awesome.
shows.
You said that was simple, and I thought that was a good one. Good stuff. You stumped me on some. But yeah, no, that was fun. Are you ready for my fake fan for you?
Yes, sir.
Cool. I think I've even talked about this before on the podcast, but point-and-click games are notorious for difficult point-and-click puzzles, especially in the 90s. So I pulled up a couple of the most frustrating or infamously difficult puzzles. Each of these is either true or I made it up. And I'm going to go through each of them and you guess whether this is a real obtuse puzzle or if I just made it up. Make sense?
Okay, sure, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so each of these could be real or fake. First one. Gabriel Knight 3, Blood of the Sacred, Blood of the Damned, has a puzzle where to impersonate a detective, you stick a piece of masking tape on a shed, startle a cat so it runs past and leaves fur on it. Then you use a blob of maple syrup to stick the cat mustache to your upper lip. Finally, you use a magic marker to draw a mustache on the detective's stolen passport photo because, oh yeah, the detective that you're trying to impersonate doesn't have a mustache.
That's really funny. What did you call this game again?
Gabriel Knight 3, Blood of the Sacred, Blood of the Damned.
And you didn't make up any of the game titles.
None of these games are all real. At least one of the puzzles is fake.
Okay. I'm going to say real. That sounds very contrived and very funny and very real.
Correct. Yes, this is real and it cracks me up. And that's not even as convoluted as it is. There are other aspects to the puzzle, but I just think you have to draw a mustache on the ID is hilarious to me.
Oh, yeah, totally.
All right. You got it. Next one. In Broken Sword, The Shadow of the Templars, you must get into a castle by passing by an angry goat. Every time you try to get in, the goat butts you back. So you must let the goat butt you, and then interact with a usually uninteractable thing of farm technology while the goat is retreating to its original position in order to get the goat's rope to get tangled into the machinery.
Yeah, it sounds plausible, but let's say fake. I think you made it up.
Nope, that's a real one.
Oh.
It's the infamous goat puzzle, as people call it, because no other puzzles in the game, apparently. Both of us have not really played any of these, I think, but I hear that it's the first puzzle where time is a part of it. There's a dimension of doing something quickly, which threw a lot of players off and made it a difficult puzzle.
Yeah, that makes sense. There is kind of a time-based puzzle in Full Throttle by Double Fine, where you have to do something in time before a rabid junkyard dog comes after you, and that was kind of hard because I was used to puzzling things out one at a time, but it's like, oh dang, I gotta be on it for this. So yeah, makes sense.
All right, next one. King's Quest V was notorious for having multiple unwinnable situations. For example, the so-called infamous sweater puzzle requires the player to hold onto a rusty nail from early in the game rather than throw it away into a readily available trash can. Hours of gameplay later, you need the nail to snag an old woman's sweater, steal the yarn, and use it to fashion a bear trap. If you threw away the nail, you're out of luck.
You use the yarn to fashion a bear trap?
Yeah.
I'm paying more attention to your tone of voice.
You know, these games always turn into mental games.
It's 4D chess with us too, because we're generally pretty good about telling if each other is bluffing.
And well, I don't know if we are. I think both of us have shown in previous podcasts that we're actually pretty good at making up garbage.
You are.
No, you
wait,
are too.
That sounds bad.
Do you remember Elden Ring lore? I think that every single time I was like, you know what? I think I like the lore better that Jared came up with than was actually made for Elden Ring.
I'm glad. I feel very flattered about that, but oh man, I'm terrified.
Yep, there's a lot on the line here.
It is.
So
I don't want to be a fake fan. True. Yarn bear trap sounds weird, so it must be true.
I made that up.
I knew it. I knew it, but why didn't I say it?
Yeah. Yep. What is true about this is King's Quest V did have multiple unwinnable situations. There's a part where a cat is harassing a rat, and if you don't save the rat, later in the game you're trapped in like a prison or something, tied up, and you just die there and the game ends unless you freed the rat who comes over and chews the ropes.
Wow.
So if you saved it all past the cat-rat interaction, then you just can't beat the game.
Crazy.
Yeah. Wild. All right, here's the last one. In Escape from Monkey Island, to rob a bank, you must stretch prosthetic flesh from a prosthetic limb store over an empty manhole to create a trampoline that you use to get into the bank.
I'm going to say true.
Okay.
Prosthetic
Cool.
flesh sounds like something that Tim Schafer would find very funny, so I'm going to say true.
All right, you got it. And it is so weird. But, yeah. Good job. Thanks for playing.
Yeah. Well, before we move on to our final segment, I always like to talk about who is this game for? Like, who would this game appeal to? And I want to say, like, hardcore point-and-click enthusiasts, if they're looking for something breezier. But really, I think this is better suited to kids and adults, like myself, who enjoy animated cartoons way more than live-action shows. This appeals to my sensibilities.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think? Who do you think this appeals to the most?
I think this is a good family game. I think this is a good game that, like, a parent could play with their kid, like, let their kid kind of be in the driver's seat, or vice versa if they're not young enough to really control it. But I actually really enjoyed playing this with my roommate because occasionally one of us would kind of figure something out that the other person was struggling with, and I think it made it go faster, and also was just fun to be like, oh, I know what we're doing here. So I feel like it'd be a similar fun thing to do with kids or a significant other. So
Yeah, well said. And we need more of those. We need more games where you can play along with your kid, you know?
yeah.
All right. Let's get into our final segment, which is Rabbit Holes. This is the open mic night segment of our show, if you will, where we get to recommend something to each other or to the listeners. And the thing I want to recommend this week is, well, to preface this, I've told a lot of people it's good to have a podcast because it lets you talk about whatever you want. You know, it's like I think more people need a podcast, even if it's one that no one listens to.
You're making it sound like podcasts are therapy.
They are. They can be. I've noticed a lot of friends have asked to be on the show because it's just fun to talk about games. And I'm kind of at a point in my life where I almost enjoy talking about games more than I do actually playing them. So my rabbit hole for this week is the GG app. My friend recommended this to me last week, and after getting started, I ended up spending almost 3 hours in one sitting going through it. And it's basically, it's kind of like Letterboxd, which is an app for like ranking and reviewing movies and just keeping track of what you've watched. My friend, Dallin, who was actually on the show in our Metroid episode, so I can say his name, he recommended it because he wanted a game diary. He wanted to remember all the games he's played. And I've realized I kind of need one too, especially because we do, Game of the Year episodes on this show. So, it's just really addicting to see a bazillion thumbnails of games you've played and rank each one, give each one a rating. You can review them. You can put it in a backlog or on a wish list, or you can say that you've played it or completed it, or are currently playing it. And I am going to include a link to my GG profile in the description of this podcast. Go follow me there. Go download the app and follow me, and I will follow everyone who follows me, because I would love to see what our listeners are playing. And it's probably a lot easier than, writing us an email or sending us a tweet. Is just having fun making your own rankings. I have several lists, like my top Mario games, top Zelda games, top 15 games of all time, which we put a tweet out for last week. Spoilers, number 1 is A Short Hike, of course. But in some ways, the order doesn't matter as much as just putting all your favorite games in one spot and looking at the color palette of all the thumbnails. It's very nice. Marcus, please get on this. Get in on this action. I want to see your rankings.
Yeah. Well, Jared, while you were speaking, I finally downloaded it.
Yes.
So I have done
Follow
it.
me.
It has happened. I will view yours and possibly even make my own.
It is helpful to go through a friends list because then you can rank each one that they remembered that you might have forgotten.
Sure.
So that's my rabbit hole for the week.
Very cool.
Floor is yours, Marcus.
Awesome. I don't know. The main rabbit hole that I've gone down is I've just been playing some Hearthstone again, that card game by Blizzard that's on iOS and PC and I don't know, maybe other places. And, it's pretty quick and breezy. It's kind of like, a lot of people compare it to Magic, but it's sort of its own thing in several ways. And there's just something really fun about finding synergies between cards, like putting together a cool combo that works well. And I know that we've talked about that in terms of deck building games. So if people are sharing their GGs, I would actually love to ask people for other games where you kind of get that thrill out of trading card game deck building element of like finding something that like works really well and finding synergies. If anyone has like examples of those kind of games, whether it's deck building or trading card game things, I would love to hear about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always looking for my next Slay the Spire or Dicey Dungeons. It doesn't have to be a deck builder, but you're right, something with really cool synergies. Marcus, I think I could recommend Dead Cells to you. Have you played that one yet?
I have played a little, yeah.
Okay. I know there are, just like in Hades, there are different buffs you can get throughout your run that could potentially synergize and create a really interesting and cool build.
Ooh, yeah, Hades is actually a good pull because by the end of a run, you kind of feel god tier because you've got like all of these power-ups that play into each other, which is very cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, the time has come for us to sign off. So thank you everyone for listening. We really appreciate each and every one of you. And until next time, I'm Jared.
I'm Marcus.
And we'll level with you then. You know, I've done sound design where it'll be like grassy field. And I'm like, oh, this is actually really nice. This fits the scene perfectly. And then a little a fly or a bee will go right next to the binaural microphones.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, even with speakers, not even headphones, it's enough for me to like go, it's really unpleasant. You don't like hearing a bug in your ear.
I feel the same way about eating sounds. Where it's like, you need to put eating sounds into a scene, but just, it's like, nope. Even if you like ASMR, I don't know why anyone likes those sounds.
I don't get ASMR, I really don't. I like vibin' videos, just like relaxing music or sound effects or background stuff, but I like the ASMR of being right next to the mic. And
eating celery, like why would you imagine in real life if you're like, hey, could you please eat that celery slowly and sensually next to my ear? It's like gross.
No, go away.
No thanks. Get out of here, Jared. Gosh.
Wait. just let me. I cannot replicate celery with just my mouth.